Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
It's a great day. I'm Mark Imperial. For the past 7 years, I've scoured the globe looking for noteworthy experts, businesses, people, places, and things. On this special edition of the show, we'll meet some of the world's leading professionals in health, nutrition, and fitness, people from all across the country, around the world, and in your town. My next guest for this segment is Tracy Anderson from Lifestyle Fitness and Nutrition from Westchester, Ohio. And I'm going to bring Tracy on right now and let him tell you a little bit more about the business. Tracy, welcome to the program.
Hello, how are you doing?
So Tracy, tell us a little bit more about Lifestyle Fitness and Nutrition and exactly the type of clients that you help.
Well, one of the things that we specialize in is long-term health, as far as whether it's an individual wanting to gain weight and just feel better, or a 65-year-old wanting to walk into his 80s, or an 80-year-old wanting to be able to open up his kitchen window, to females strengthen their joints and their bones and so forth. So it runs a wide gamut, but it's not a typical come in, lose weight type facility.
I see. So is it then like more one-on-one personal training, or is it group classes? Tell me a little bit more about that.
All we do is one-on-one individual training. We don't even have memberships. It's private only. I don't do any group classes like that, and it's the way I have it structured is when someone comes in, it's me and them here. There might be one or two other people doing a few things on their own, but that's it. I don't want 5 people in here. I don't want 10 people in here. I don't want 1,000 members. I want 100, and that way I can keep that private atmosphere and help serve that individual person.
Right on. So tell me a little bit about the experience. Like, what do you find is the biggest challenge or the most common challenges that you see people have when they first reach out to you?
Well, it changes throughout the spectrum. So when someone first coming in, the challenges could be such an individual to where it could be a spouse, fighting them along the way, not wanting to spend the money, or insecurities. It could also be them making time for themselves and putting themselves first. I often tell my clients it's okay to put yourself first. To where once someone gets going, one of the biggest things is consistency. I could get someone in here and, a few months, we've made great changes. The question is, can they maintain those changes for the next year or 5 years or 10 years? And oftentimes that's where the real challenge is. Making changes up front isn't that hard. It's maintaining those changes that eventually becomes the hardest.
So you mentioned consistency. Is that like the big secret, or are there other, if you were to give somebody like one or two really big tips on what's going to help them actually achieve their goal or exceed their goal, what would that advice be?
Certainly, consistency would be the key thing, to continue even some type of fitness program and some type of eating healthy. There's some benefits to even the lowest common denominator. But as far as large keys, it's kind of common sense. Eat healthy food, drink lots of water, and exercise. The stress that you cause your body doing exercise will cause your body's immune system to come in and heal it. And that's what's healthy, is the healing from exercise, not just the exercise. And that's where a lot of people get confused.
Oh, you really struck a chord, because I have a friend of mine actually that trains consistently hard all the time. And I always say, the rest day is just as important as the actual fitness. Can you speak to that a little bit more and tell me exactly what goes on with the body?
Absolutely. And I do seminars, and I train. I've been doing this for over 20 years. And it's been reinforced in my mind many, many times that more doesn't mean better. And I fight against that on a weekly basis with clients. They think if they do a little bit more, they'll have a higher amount of returns, and it's actually diminishing returns. And what most people don't understand, as far as strength training goes, you're coming in here and you're damaging your body. You're straining and stressing your muscles. You're putting stress and micro tears in the tendons. You're straining your bones and your joints, and that's really not a very good thing to do. until you allow your body to come in and heal it. And when it comes in and heals it, it heals it just a little bit better, a little bit stronger each time. But that's also why it reinforces the idea of nutrition, because it takes the nutrients that you eat to come in and heal that body from the stress that you caused it. And it's that big dynamic of keep overflowing, that big kinetic chain that allow your body to adjust to whatever environment you put it in.
So does that pretty much apply all across the board, whether they're doing body weight exercises, HIIT training, running, or weight training?
To a degree, obviously, your friend that's, say, working out every day, he's probably straining his body pretty hard, which means his diet has to be better, and it probably has to be a little younger. You know, a 60-year-old's not going to train as hard and as frequently as a 20-year-old, and because the healing cycle is going to be a little bit different. But yeah, it applies across the board no matter what you're doing, is allowing your body to heal, and that's whether you're working with someone with cancer. This morning, my first client was a lady working with cancer, and obviously her healing curve is going to be different from my next person, who was a 76-year-old retired person that had a stroke. So they're going to have a different healing curve and different strength. So it doesn't matter if you have a 25-year-old trying to gain a little bit of muscle or a 45-year-old trying to lose a little bit of fat. Those principles apply throughout.
I see. So Tracy, how did you get personally, inspired and started as a personal trainer?
When I was 12 years old, I was the smallest kid in my school. I went into high school weighing 80 pounds, and I played football. But around this age, everybody started growing, and I didn't. So I started working out. My parents bought me it's the old gym that you bolted to the wall in your bedroom. Had a little tower on it. And I was 16. I joined a little local gym, and I broke my leg while I was playing football. And I continued to work out my upper body, and I got into powerlifting as a teenager. Then I did some powerlifting meets, and then I went into the Marine Corps in 1991 and continued to enjoy it. I just enjoyed it. It's like some people enjoy working on cars. And then when I got out of the Marine Corps, I was in college for political science. And one of my close friends was taking physical therapy assistant programs to our local community college. And he's telling me all this, and I thought, well, you know what? I would like to take that class just to help me with my workouts. And I went in, and I found I never had to study because I enjoyed it so much. I just absorbed that information. At that time, I was getting ready to do competitive bodybuilding, and I did that for 5 years. And it just kind of drew me into it, and I actually kind of just fell into this by happenstance. A long time ago, I had someone tell me that if you found a hobby that you really loved and could find a way to make a living at it, you'd never work a day in your life.
Oh, that's terrific. So, you mentioned being drawn into it, the fitness business, so to speak. And I hear that that's incredibly challenging in general. Could you give me your experience in that and starting your own fitness business? And is it really as tough as people say? And in the beginning, did you think it was going to be tough?
I did. In 2000, when I was finishing up college, I was working with a friend of mine. I was doing training at another guy's gym, and we were going to open up a gym together. And then his half of the financing fell through, so I did one on my own, a little bit smaller. I'm kind of glad I went that way. But since then, I've had a number of people, of friends, that have started fitness centers and personal training studios and so forth. And they might do okay for the first few years, but for the longevity, it's very difficult. Number one, the employees, as far as trainers or staff, has an extremely high rate of turnover. And you get into personal trainers, and I've come across this, and I still struggle with this. You get a decent personal trainer, you build them up to see 40 or 45 sessions a week. Well, they move 5 miles down the road and open up their own gym. And then they take their clients with you. But even if they left them here, I may not have the personnel to service them, so I'd lose them anyways. So it has a high rate of turnover. And then as far as the ebb and flow of the fitness industry, and that's one thing that I've tried, because I'm not a natural business person, is I've tried to minimize those ebb and flows, is I don't try to compete with the box chains. I can't. I don't have the money to. So what I want to do is when these clients come into me, and I've had clients with me for 16 and 17 years, the entire time,
Wow.
is every client that I get, I want them to feel so special and to have so much special attention that that person is a walking billboard for me. And it is through them that I maintain business, and I also get referrals from them and the doctors that they're working with. And so I try to create this network to where I can insulate myself from the, in the fitness industry, January through March is where a lot of your money's made. And then you hope they don't cancel their contract until the next year. So it's a rough business. Mm-hmm. But if you're smart about it, you can approach it in a certain way.
So you mentioned a lot about like the staff turnover. Tell me about the client side. Is it easy to attract a client, or do you think that they're just really distracted a lot today? Or what are the biggest challenges of attracting a client in wanting to get fit?
For me, attracting the right client is difficult. Attracting clients in general isn't that difficult, but I don't want someone to come in and sign up for 2 months and then leave because they've wasted my time, because we're just getting started in 2 months. I want someone that comes into me realizing, hey, this is going to be a long-term commitment. This is, just like your energy bill. It's a bill I pay every month because it's necessary. So, yeah, if I was a big box gym or even had a high rate of turnover in clientele, I would spend a lot more in marketing and just trying to get people in the door. Well, that's not the clientele that I want, and I have some friends that do that business, and that's fine. The clientele that I want are mostly referred by the customers that I have now or by the network of doctors or chiropractors or physical therapists that I work with, and those tend to be long-term clients, and that's what I would like to focus on.
I got one other question for you, Tracy. We talked a little bit earlier about, the rest day and the recovery day, and then we sort of touched on nutrition. So I've read tons of articles. You always see like, hey, the exercise is really just like 10 or 20%, but it's 80% about what you eat in nutrition. Could you speak to that? Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, there's some truth to it. And one way to think about it, that's an easy way to say it. And like I alluded to earlier, it's the healing process that's healthy. Well, your body uses the nutrients that you eat to help your body heal. So if you're not feeding the body correctly, then it certainly couldn't heal correctly or in a advantageous time period. But nutrition is the make or break for most people. I mean, if you have someone just want to exercise and move their joints and they eat semi-healthy, yeah, that's fine. But if you have anybody wanting to, whether it's feel better about themselves, have more energy in the long term, reduce their cholesterol, work with diabetes and so forth, the nutrition is the gold standard. And it's kind of the bad part too, because there's so much hyperbole out there as far as, well, you got to do this, you got to do that. In reality, you don't have to do any of it. It's really not that difficult. It's just not easy, and that's the trick. And people want easy, and they have to realize that, hey, I may have to cook a little bit of food rather than throwing pasta in the stove, or I may have to eat leaner meats rather than going through one of the fast food chains and getting a hamburger or something like that.
Wow, I could see that we could go on for days. There's a lot more to this, healthy
absolutely
lifestyle and fitness lifestyle. But, for parting words, is there anything that we might not have covered that you think people should know about before we go?
One thing that I would like to bring up is people don't understand the relationship, and even trainers don't understand the relationship of how all these moving parts in the fitness world work together. And the moving parts are your strength training, which is the weight training, resistance training, the nutrition, and then we never touched on the aerobics or cardio aspect of it, and then the rest and recovery. It's those four links that chain it together. When one of those four is broken, then it will affect the other three, which means it'll affect what goals you're trying to reach. And that's kind of a good summary, I guess, to part on.
Wow, well, that definitely is going to open up a whole different subject that we're going to have to revisit in the future, if that's okay with you.
I would love to.
So, hey, Tracy, I appreciate you taking the time to joining me on the program today, and I wish you continued success for you and your clients.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
As you know, we're in the middle of our Fitness, Nutrition, and Healthy Lifestyle Special Edition. And my next guest is Heidi Bodenheimer from Fit in Boonesboro Maryland. I'm going to bring her on right now and let her introduce herself and kind of tell you a little bit about their business there. Heidi, welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you very much.
Heidi, tell us a little bit more about Fit in Boonesboro and the specific types of clients that you work with.
Yes, well, we are a small gym, which in Boonesboro, Maryland, we're in between Frederick and Hagerstown, and what is really cool about our gym is we really offer a community approach to fitness. I've been in the industry for just about 20 years, and I've worked at numerous different gyms, and what I have found is that the people that are constantly coming to the gym really aren't the ones that necessarily need to be coming. So we target those that have never been to the gym before and or maybe are a little scared of going to the gym. And so our population is actually full of a lot of folks who this is their first gym experience.
I see. So I understand that there's a bit of a famous background behind Fit in Boonesboro. Could you tell us about that?
Absolutely, yes. We are very blessed to have Nora Roberts, the famous author, to be the owner of our facility. So it's pretty cool. She actually has done a lot for our community, and we are just thrilled. We actually just had our 5-year anniversary for Fit in Boonesboro, and it makes it really pretty cool when she comes to visit us.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit about the facility. Is it like a full-blown big box type of a gym, or tell us more about it? What is it like?
So we have pretty much an array of group exercise classes that are really cool for such a small facility. I am really blessed to have top-notch instructors at my facility. We also have personal training. We have a massage therapist, a Reiki practitioner. We have a steam room, a sauna, and then plus a gym floor with pretty much everything that you would need to work out. So pretty much everything right at your fingertips right here in our small community. And it's kind of one-stop shopping. And then in addition to that, we also have a program called Feeling Fabulous, which is our health and wellness coaching program, which actually I am the coach of that. And that is our newest addition to Fit in Boonesboro.
What's the name of that particular program again?
It's called Feeling Fabulous.
So, yeah, tell us about that. So, do you have like a real specialty that you're known for at your gym, and like what type of prospect, is attracted to it, and what's their biggest or most common problem that you find?
I think, like I said before, I think, we have an interesting mix of people because a lot of people here, this is their first gym experience. So, they're the common folks that, they are really, really ambitious when they get started. But the key is to keep going and, not have that January client that we see so often that, lasts maybe, if we're lucky, 4 weeks. So at our facility, what's nice is because we are small, everyone who works at Fit in Boonesboro is really kind of genuine about everyone's success and well-being in terms of getting them here and keeping them wanting to come. So because of that kind of community, that small town feel, it's kind of like when you don't show up for a class, people are asking, hey, where are you? And wondering where you've been if you've been out for a week and things like that. So I think that really helps people to stay motivated. And then the Feeling Fabulous program is actually a separate coaching program that's one-on-one coaching with me that people, if they just kind of need that extra step of really having someone kind of coach them along the way to, maybe they're trying to lose weight, maybe they just want to get more fit, whatever the case may be, and I take them through a step-by-step program that starts with, forming goals, takes them through a baby step process to get them through the program. It's a minimum of a 3-month program, and really at the end of the day, we really focus on the why. Why are you here? Why do you want to get healthy? Because so many times, if you don't know the why, I always like to say your butts get in the way, literally, because, but when I weigh this, or but when I feel better, or but when I don't have this commitment at work, all those buts tend to get in the way of the why. But when you are really, really super clear on your why, then everything sort of falls into place. And people's whys could be, numerous things I hear from, hey, I want to be around to be able to get on the floor and play with my grandkids. Hey, I want to be able to walk around Italy when I go next summer. It could be numerous different things. And so it's pretty cool to focus just on the why and get people from point A to point B.
Fantastic. So you mentioned, first-time gym goers. Do you find that they're timid, shy? What do you think their number one, I guess you might call it a fear, would be when they first reach out to you?
Well, of course, with them never experiencing the gym, just even walking in the door is a lot of times a challenge and something that is definitely a fear for them, and a true one at that. I've talked to numerous people where they're like, I didn't even want to walk in the door because I wasn't sure. And again, being that I have worked at various facilities, I have to be perfectly honest. There have been times where I've witnessed people at different, front desk gyms where, and including the ones that I've worked at, where, if you're not a certain stereotypical body type or have a certain, look, that you're pretty much like frowned upon or not given the courtesy of a smile or a hello. Where at our gym, the training that I do is every single person, that walks through that door, we could be the best part of their entire day. We might even be, in some cases, we have, with the older population, we might be the only interaction that they have with somebody. And so it is my job to train my staff to make that first entry the most important with every single person that walks in the door.
Yeah, and those folks, I'd imagine, are the folks that really could use your help the most.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. So we have, when you come into our facility, you're not going to see this. I mean, we do. We have quite fit people and young people too, but we also, and men, women, but you're also going to see a large percentage of, heavier people. But at the end of the day, I'm looking, my passion is to inspire the world to fitness one person at a time, and that's what I'm doing here, because if that heavier person is on the machine, then I know they're working towards a better health and a better them. So that's what it's all about.
Yeah, so speaking to folks that are new to fitness or want to get healthier that could be listening now, what would you say would be the one or two biggest tips for them to get them going and get them moving? And like what's it going to be to get them started on getting results?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, like I mentioned before, their why. Why do they want to do this? Because the shoulds and the buts, they all just get in the way, and at the end of the day, they're really just excuses, but they're real. Mm-hmm. So, what is it that you want to get healthier? Some people don't, want to stay off medication or whatever the case may be. You got to really find your why. And then when you're really upfront and personal and true to your why, then my next advice would be to do it in baby steps. So many times I see in January people come out and they'll come to the gym, 7 days a week for a whole hour. It doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't even have to start with coming to the gym. It's starting with something that you really might like. If you like to walk your dog, well, then start by, hey, could you walk the dog around the block today? Kind of incorporating bits and pieces of more movement throughout your day is a great place to start. And then that just sort of gets the ball rolling, so to speak. And if you think about an infant or a baby, they don't walk overnight. They take baby steps, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what this is all about too. So you're not going to suddenly come to the gym 7 days a week for an hour at a time. Could you park a little further away from the grocery store when you go? Could you, if you're at work, make sure you walk to the water cooler every hour on the hour? What could you do to incorporate more movement into your day? And then above and beyond that, I would suggest what I call tiny habits. And tiny habits are habits that you incorporate into things that you already currently are doing. Mm-hmm. So, for example, I'm assuming we all brush our teeth in the morning. So maybe every time you brush your teeth, maybe you run in place for 30 seconds. Maybe you do some jumping jacks. Maybe you do some squats, whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. Something that you know exactly where to place it. Because if we don't know, or we have this nebulous idea like, oh, yes, I'm going to do more movement into my day, you actually have to plan it. So the more you plan it, the better success and the more results you're going to see.
So all the movement and everything you're doing is having a cumulative effect.
Absolutely, yes.
So I got one more question for you. I'll be mindful of the clock. But a lot of people, the age-old debate, cardio versus strength training. What are your thoughts on this?
It's always a good combination, but I have to be perfectly honest. Strength is where I see the most results. So when I have people who come in and are doing all this cardio, and I say, well, how much strength? And a lot of times they're doing little to none, and I incorporate a strength program into the routine. Suddenly they see the results they want pretty quickly. So that would be my 2 cents on that.
Why is that for the layman out there? Why is it that the strength gets you more results or quicker?
Well, at the end of the day, it has to be strength that, you're lifting more than like someone's, purse. You have to be able to, you have to make sure that you're lifting an amount that, at the end of the reps, whether it be 8, 12, or 15, or whatever it may be, that you're not just saying, oh, I better take a break. It has to be true, like, okay, I need this break. And so after that amount of after that, what's happening is your muscle is actually breaking down. And once that muscle breaks down, then of course it has to build back up. And in that build-up process is where the metabolism is increased, and that's where you see the results, because the metabolism is increased for a longer period of time than cardio, and so over time, that's what the benefits you're seeing.
Heidi, how did you personally get started in this industry? You seem to be very passionate about it.
Oh, I am. I love it, love it, love it. I feel blessed every day I get to do what I love. I was a gymnast growing up, and then I went to college, and I didn't really do any fitness in terms of, I wasn't an instructor, but I went to classes. And finally, then, after going to so many classes, I thought to myself, I wasn't really thrilled with the level of teaching that was going on, and I thought to myself, I think I might be able to do a better job. And so I was a stay-home mom, and it just sort of led itself one thing after another. So my hobby became, more and more of my hobby, as my husband always used to say. I spent more time on my hobby than any other person he ever knew, because I just was so passionate about it. So I knew it was the direction I needed to take.
Right on. Well, wow. I got so many questions I'd love to ask for you. So ask you, but I know we're short on time this time around. So it sounds like I'm going to have you come back. We didn't even talk about nutrition. We didn't talk about, Nora Roberts starting this gym. So I'd love to have you on in the future again, if that's okay with you.
That would be great.
So Heidi, how do folks get a hold of you there at Fit in Boonesboro?
They can, we have our website is fitinboonesboro.com, or they can email at info@fitinboonesboro.com.
Heidi, thank you so much for taking the time and being on the program today, and I wish you continued success for you and all of your clients and members.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
I'm Mark Imperial, and of course, we're in the middle of our health, nutrition, and fitness special edition here at the program, and my next guest is Clyde Mealy, a personal trainer out of Mission Viejo, California, the good old OC Orange County. He's the creator of Create a Healthier Body, and I'm going to bring him on the program here and let him tell you a little bit more about his program. Clyde, welcome to the program.
Hey, Mark. Thank you for having me on.
Clyde, tell us a little bit about Create a Healthier Body and specifically the type of clients that you help.
Well, Mark, my journey started about 12 years ago when I went through my own transformation, lost 107 pounds. I lost about 40% body fat. And I noticed a lot of people were struggling with weight loss and maintaining a healthy weight. So that got me fired up and into the industry, and I ended up here in Orange County, and one of the most beautiful places to live where you can do a lot of things outdoors or indoors, and I still saw people struggling. And a lot of that comes from gimmicks and myths out there of quick fixes, and it comes down to healthy choices, healthy lifestyle, what you put into your body, and also how your body processes that along with physical activity.
So who's the ideal client for you? Who do you find typically reaches out to you?
My typical client base can be a 35, 40-year-old to a retired attorney at age 69. It really doesn't matter. I think everyone that I've come in contact with is in need of something, either for weight loss or to regain lean muscle, to get active again, to regain something that they once loved to do. So I don't limit myself to a perfect or ideal client. It's more or less, am I able to really help you get back what you want?
Well, yeah, speaking of that, what is it that most people, like if you were speaking to about your most common question or challenge, what do you find people wanting the most?
Mostly I find weight loss and getting active again, getting out there snowboarding or playing a pickup game of basketball or going cycling or hiking, just moving without pain. And once I help them achieve that, I mean, sky's the limit.
How about, okay, for our listeners out there who may be thinking about fitness, for example, but they're intimidated or scared or they're new to it or trying to get back active, as you mentioned, speak about some of those misconceptions. What are the biggest one or two misconceptions that people have, and what could you say about them?
What I find is people think, okay, if I just work out, I'm going to lose weight or feel better. But here's the thing, Mark, if you haven't played a sport or been really active since college days, or if you had a couple of injuries or some nagging, physical issue like a shoulder or knee, you're not going to perform the same way. So they come into a club or they hire a trainer and they find out that their body just isn't ready, and then they don't know what to do. It's like, oh, let me go to physical therapy. Let me call my doctor. Then they never really regain that enthusiasm to come back. I tend to get a hold of these type of clients and get them to, one, be in less pain, believe in themselves, and then say, hey, go take that hike. Go to the kids, take your kids to the park or do that favorite activity. And then they come back and say, wow, I feel great. I feel invigorated. And then we keep building on that enthusiasm.
How about the old debate, whether it's cardio or strength training that's most effective? Can you speak about that?
Of course. Well, Mark, a lot of things have changed in the fitness industry. At one point, it was do 60 plus minutes of moderate to high intensity cardio. Now, some researchers are looking at doing 15, 20 minutes of low intensity cardio and getting more strength training involved, especially for women who are more prone to osteopenia, osteoporosis, just to build stronger bones. So I take the same approach. Let's get some cardio in. It can be whatever it is you want, treadmill, bike, take your dog for a 30-minute walk. But when you see me, we're going to do some strength training, everything from kettlebells, dumbbells, machines, functional training, medicine ball. We're going to do everything to get the body moving in all three planes of motion.
What you mentioned, like, trends that come and go and gimmicks that come and go. Is there any truth to any of them, or what do you find is trending and most effective today?
Well, I try to base everything off of sound research and things that I've done either myself or with a group of clients to see what really works, because it comes down to the individual, because life tends to get in the way. Kids, work, holidays, birthdays, you get sick, you don't feel well. What's sustainable? Diets typically aren't sustainable. Meal plans aren't sustainable. And being on a strict workout program where you're working out 4, 5, 6 days a week with a day or two rest on top of everything else life throws at us, you got to give people a taste of success and give them a blueprint that it's something they can do on their own at some point. And what I just described is something that's very rigid. Only a handful of people can actually succeed with something like that.
So you give them something more flexible and give them options?
Exactly. So let's say if most people walk up to a trainer and say, hey, I need a meal plan. I need to lose weight. I need help. If you do that, it's not sustainable. I say, hey, Mark, what do you eat for breakfast? And then let's kind of gradually or take baby steps and tweak it. Instead of that coffee with whipped cream and a double shot of something, have a black coffee maybe with 1 sugar. Instead of that croissant, let's have a poppy seed bagel. Now you say, oh, okay, never really thought of that, but it's a healthier choice. Something like we talked about earlier is just a lifestyle. And you have to have a certain amount of touches to get that to sink in so that they can do it on their own.
Okay, we're touching on my favorite subject, which is food now. So
mine too.
I hear a lot about, and I read a lot about people saying, you know what, getting fit and healthy is really only 10 or 20% exercise and 80% what you eat. Can you speak about that?
Definitely, Mark, because I'm a byproduct of that from being overweight or obese. It's more than just you are what you eat. It's more about what your body does with the food that you give it. So when I was unhealthy, it was, cartons of orange juice. It was bagels and cream cheese, things from a food cart, fast food, things that are not very nutrient dense, but will fill you up temporarily. And when I switched my mindset to eating more whole foods, things without a label, eating every 2.5 hours, the weight came off. And people said, well, that makes no sense. You eat more frequently, but they missed the part about eating more healthy, eating less processed foods. And that's where the light bulb went off. And that's where the real guts of it is what you put into your body, what your body absorbs, what your body digests is really what you're eating. It's just turning it into fuel, or turning it into energy.
Clyde, take us on your journey a little bit. You mentioned your struggle with obesity and being overweight. What personally, what triggered your passion for fitness and what inspired you to become a personal trainer?
Well, this was going back a little over a decade, about 15 years ago now. I was in corporate. I worked in Manhattan 5-6 days a week, 12-hour days, and I wasn't working out anymore. And I slowly went from a 34-inch waist to a 42-inch waist. So that's a huge jump in pant size, clothes altogether. But no one really said, hey, Clyde, you're fat. It was like, I'm about 6'1". So they're like, you're working out, you're getting bigger. No one really said anything until I looked in the mirror one day and said, this is unacceptable. I couldn't walk up a flight of steps in my 30s. Unacceptable. I went to see a doctor. My blood pressure was 240 over 170. Unacceptable. I shouldn't be alive, is what the doctor told me. And from that day forward is when I said, you know what? I know what to do. Now I have to execute it. And along the way, I started learning that there's a whole science behind exercise, behind nutrition, and seeking the help of a professional. You're not going to read it all from a book or from an internet blog or from a website. Go to someone that you trust, someone that recommends someone, and say, hey, I need help. And truly invest in that. Invest in your health as your first wealth. And it'll be 16 years this December 23rd that I've kept my weight off. I went up a little bit, but I never put all the weight back on. And that's what a lot of people struggle with. They take 20 pounds off, put 30 on, take 50 off, put 70 on. And that's a struggle for our body, for our heart, for our system in general to go through that type of stress.
Wow. Well, congratulations. That's quite a feat that you've created for yourself. For the listeners out there that, they might be struggling to get started, or they're apprehensive, or they don't think it might work for them. What advice would you give them? 1 or 2 tips to get them started successfully and finding a person to work with like yourself?
I would suggest going to your most convenient health club or gym and speaking with someone there on staff and really ask questions about where the trainer went to school, if they have a degree, what certifications that they have, and typically pick someone that's closer to your age range, just for somebody that can relate to what you're going through. So if you're 45, you don't want a 20-year-old trainer. You might want to look like that, but do you really want someone in your ear 2, 3, 4 hours a week telling you what you should be doing? Because it kind of feels awkward. But if you have a peer in your ear who used to be overweight like myself, who's married, who's had kids and works full time, then you kind of have some commonality. You kind of build some trust. You learn that you have, similar communication style. You make a connection, and they know that you care because you've been there and it wasn't that long ago. So I would say that would be the first thing to do. And then really look yourself in the mirror and say, are you happy with what you see? And if you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for your family or a significant other, and just execute. Give it 30 days, and if it doesn't change, then maybe you need a little more help than you thought. but I've seen miraculous changes in 30 days, whether it be 10, 15 pounds of weight loss, or people going from sedentary to, hiking their favorite trail that they haven't done in over a decade. So I would say keep it simple, take baby steps, but definitely do your research.
For our listeners that might be near you or want to learn more about what you have to offer, how can folks get a hold of you, and how specifically can you help them get started?
Well, to get a hold of me, I'm old school, so email works for me. Nothing fancy. I'm at luckyliveoc@gmail.com. And you shoot me an email and tell me what your issues are, what your challenges are, and we'll meet and chat and see if I can help you out. More likely, I'm able to, and if you're open to it and coachable, then we will go on that journey together. Because I've been there, I've done that, and I've been sustaining it for going on 16 years.
Clyde, I really appreciate you taking the time and joining us on the program today. I congratulate you on your success personally and for your mission to help your clients. And I wish you continued success for you and your clients.
I really appreciate that. The same thing to you, Mark.
That wraps up another episode of our Health, Nutrition, and Fitness Special Edition. If you know a remarkable expert, business, person, place, or thing that we should feature on the show, drop me a line on my email, radioguest@markimperial.com. That's radioguest@markimperial.com. Until next time, I'm Mark Imperial. Take care and make it a remarkable week.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.